Moments ago in Havana, simultaneous 21-gun salutes to remember Fidel Castro. According to the Associated Press, tens of thousands gathered in the streets for that. Different scene on the streets of Miami, very different. Over the weekend, Cuban Americans celebrated the news of Castro's death. It went on for hours. In fact, I think it went on for 3 straight nights. Didn't finish last night either. Meanwhile, President-elect Trump says he will rework the U.S. deal with Cuba. Here's what he tweeted this morning. This is fresh in. If Cuba is unwilling to make a better deal for the Cuban people, the Cuban American people, and the U.S. as a whole, I will terminate the deal. David Savona is with us, managing editor of Cigar Aficionado, a man who knows Cuba well, and Cuban cigars, of course. This changes everything. I mean, Donald Trump is now saying, hey, we're not going to take that deal that the president had with Castro. It's over. What do you make of this?
Well, the deal that Obama has had with the Cuban government has been one that has been positive in our eyes, moving toward normalized relations with the United States. I would hope that Donald Trump would go ahead and continue such a deal, but it sounds like he wants to make some changes.
But we got nothing out of it. I mean, you can say we did get something out of it. Maybe the cigar people got something out of it. But look, I was told that Google said, look, we'll rewire the whole island for you for free. They turned them down on the grounds that Google's American. GE wanted to build power plants after this agreement with President Obama. They turned them down and said, no, we want Americans. That's got to change. It's
got to change. Business is starting. Starwood Corporation is doing management of hotels in Havana now, 3 hotels. The U.S. airlines are starting to do commercial flights to Cuba. I looked at the...
Well, what's in it for us? Okay, we have commercial flights to Cuba, so what?
Well, it's all about the Cuban people. The Cuban people have suffered under the Castro government, under the embargo.
But they don't have any freedom. I mean,
exactly. That needs to change. It needs to change. And the embargo has been the way of change for more than 50 years. It's proved ineffective. Castro stayed in power until his death, even though he had given the presidency to his brother. There's still a Castro in power. The embargo hasn't worked. We believe at Cigar Aficionado that it's time for a change.
Well, do you think Obama's deal with Cuba worked?
Yeah, I think it's the start.
Does he think it worked for the Cuban people?
Well, I think it's the start of change. You see, Cuba is full of Americans now. There are more Americans there than ever before.
We couldn't have gotten more out of it than just a few more tourists?
Well, hopefully President-elect Donald Trump will get more.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll press for a little bit more in the way of U.S. business down there, more in the way of freedom, which is so needed for the Cuban people, because they have suffered unfairly over all these years. It's a sad day for the Cuban people to
Let's hope the cigar agreement stays in place.
Well, that would be very important.
There you go, David.
Exactly.
David, thanks very much. I'm sorry I'm cutting this short.